At this stage, the police don't believe it's terror-related currently, but that can change. The Liverpool Echo has reported that the police on Merseyside have said that the name doing the rounds on social media is not correct, but haven't revealed the name of the 17-year-old yet, because in the first instance, he's 17 years old and so has like all children, legal children, has a right to a degree of anonymity. Personally, I think that there is an overwhelming public interest case to name him, and that argument can be had down the line. So, hold that thought in your mind. Meanwhile, Anjem Chowdhury, the radical Islamist preacher, was sent to prison for life the other day, and counter-terror police, who have long pursued this man, have been out talking about the threat picture in this country. They say one of the issues they are dealing with is a tsunami of disinformation swirling online that is designed to play on people's pre- and or misconceptions and turn the dial on those to 11, that the misinformation is critical in radicalising people. And I think we've seen a bit of that in what has happened, certainly in Southport last night. And then there's this. The Reform MP for Clacton and its party's leader, Nigel Farage, gave his response to what's happened in Southport and either deliberately or accidentally, I think, lent into the kind of misinformation that counter-terror police are so concerned about.
Well, it's pretty horrendous. The third young girl has died as a result of the stabbings yesterday in Southport. I obviously join everybody in my horror at what has happened. I know the Prime Minister went to lay flowers and was heckled, and it shows you how unhappy the public are with the state of law and order in our country. I have to say there are one or two questions. Was this guy being monitored by the security services? Some reports say he was, others less sure. The police say it's a non-terror incident, just as they said the stabbing of an Army Lieutenant Colonel in uniform on the streets of Kent the other day was a non-terror incident. I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it is a fair and legitimate question. What I do know is something is going horribly wrong in our once beautiful country.
There is an MP, an elected representative of the people, wondering, speculating without evidence whether or not the police are, in a sense, lying to you. That is what he's saying. Are they withholding the truth? What's his evidence for asking that question, or at least thinking that that is a possibility? The evidence is that the police have said that it is not a terror-related event, a fact that he has actually got wrong. The police have said it is currently not being treated as a terror-related event, but that can change based on the nature of their investigation. That leads Nigel Farage to speculate evidence-free whether or not the police are telling the truth. He asked a question about the security services and to what extent the security services knew about the person involved in this. Now, that is a perfectly legitimate question, one actually that the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper raised herself in the House of Commons the other night when she said that more time will pass and there will be clearly questions raised about what the security services did or did not know about this particular individual. But what Nigel Farage says in the clip there is some reports say he was. Some reports say he was on the radar of the security services. The question I would like to ask Mr. Farage is which reports? Which reports said this man was on the radar, this 17-year-old, was on the radar of the security services? The answer, on the face of it, are the reports of the misinformation kind, the reports that came from that fake news organisation that says he was a failed asylum seeker on the watch list of MI5. That is the only place we can find that has reported this as a fact, because at the moment it isn't. At the moment we don't know. I'll play it to you again. What is Nigel Farage doing here? Nigel Farage is not an idiot. He's a clever guy. And there are legitimate questions that he refers to. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that Nigel Farage is not right to ask the question about what did the security services know. I'm just slightly concerned that Nigel Farage has also bought into some of the fake news reports that have circulated online about the fact that that they say, incorrectly at this stage, that MI5 knew. Answer is we don't know. And then there's the bit about speculating about whether or not the police are telling the truth.
And I just need to take you to task on something which is associated with it, because I'm surprised at you, actually. I'm surprised that you haven't taken the police more to task for using the term that they believe that the group involved in the protest yesterday was EDL or whatever. We're not interested in beliefs. You know, some people believe in Scientology, some people believe in God. Okay, these are systems of thought held with no evidence. The police is the last people we want to hear voicing opinions that aren't based on evidence. We're not interested in their beliefs. It means nothing. It's like saying I believe in Father Christmas. And when you hear statements like that, it makes the public suspicious. And sometimes they need someone like Nigel Farage to voice some of the suspicions that they feel.
If the police had used the word thought to be rather than believed to be, would that have been better, Paul?
Well, maybe with a little bit of evidence to back it. You know, thought to be doesn't mean anything. It's just a thought process. What we want is evidence. And also, that guy you chatted to about 2 callers back, he brought up the thing about the BBC not only showing the first video. This all leads into the same narrative, because everyone, including my window cleaner, when they viewed that first video, felt there was other videos out there.
Of course.
Now, the BBC is a premier news organisation in the world, meant to have the top journalists. Are you really seriously going to tell me that they didn't know there was another video and couldn't get their hands on it and didn't know more of the story?
Hang on, there's a difference between thinking that there might be more to it, which is obvious when you watch something like that. Of course, everyone thinks there's going to be more stuff, and getting your hands on it.
Come on, no one believes that they couldn't have got their hands on it.
But they did. I mean, they have got their hands on it. That's why it's out there.
Has it at the same time. And this is where Nigel Farage feeds into his narrative. Because many people, myself included, believe a lot of the mainstream media, so I'm out of breath, I've just been doing Pilates. A lot of the mainstream media...
You've just been doing what?
Right, Pilates, I think.
Oh, very nice.
Pilates. Yeah, I was a bit out of breath. But a lot of people do believe that the mainstream media does pick and choose the information it gives. And all that happens, I don't necessarily support Nigel Farage, but can't you guys see that when the mainstream media is perceived to act in this way, that it leaves the door open for people like Nigel Farage to put their opposing facts? For people like you, and I do quite admire you.
What facts has he put? Paul, what facts has Nigel Farage put?
No, he hasn't. I'm not saying he has particularly put forward any facts.
Right, so why is he doing it? So come back to the question. Why is he doing this?
He fills a vacuum. He fills a vacuum, and the vacuum
with more speculation.
Yeah, I know, but the speculation has already started on your side. When you allow the police to say things like they believe, you're allowing speculation. You should hold their feet to the fire on that. I expect to hear someone like you say, I'm not interested in the police saying what they believe. I want facts. But because they happen to say they believe it's EDL, then that's allowed to go by the way.
Well, it's not allowed to, sorry, it's not allowed to go by the way in the sense that people go, right, well, it's the EDL then.
No, you allowed it to go by the way.
I allowed it to go by the way in the sense that I read it out, because it was a statement from the police.
When that guy rang up a few callers ago, and he mentioned the fact about use of the word belief, you criticised for him, and it's a very valid point. When people hear the police say that they believe, that sounds massively prejudicial, and we would expect people like you, the mainstream media, to hold the police's feet to the fire for such a comment.
Well, the police's job is to find out, isn't it? I agree with you. I think the police's job is to find out, and they need to find out who did this, and they need to punish the people who were caught up in it. Letting it go is not therefore to say, right, well, the police believe it is, so I do too. That's not what the job is. What the police say is important in this, because they are the ones also trying to establish facts. That's what I read out, that they say that they believe it's related to EDL or whatever. That is not to say therefore it is, or therefore the police are saying categorically that it is. They're not. Paul, I appreciate the call. I hope you enjoyed the Pilates.
I think I'd take it back to when Trump first became president, or he was running for his race, and he mentioned the word fake news, and I think that's the first time I remembered it. But I think people have now become brainwashed into believing speculation. I think they've also now they have a distrust for mainstream media. Because they've been kind of led to this lie that, oh yeah, it's all lefty, the mainstream media is all this or that. And really, the mainstream media has become kind of two ways. It's either Fox and this side, or it's and GB News kind of thing, or it's like, well, the BBC's got the kind of left side kind of. They get blamed for being on the left, really, quite a bit in that sense as well. I think if you're a serious person, you wouldn't believe what Nigel Farage said, because I was listening to that statement and it was all just speculation. He had absolutely no facts. Whereas if you listen to the statement made by Andy Burnham, it's basically, he said, hold on, there's a lot more to this and let it be dealt with by the law. I think a serious person would look at that and think, they would think, well, why is Nigel Farage getting so much airtime?
When Farage says in the video about whether or not the security services were aware of this 17-year-old or not, which I'll repeat, Cardiff, I know you know this, but that is a completely legitimate question to ask of the police and the security services. What did you know of the person that you just arrested? Nigel Farage went on to say, some reports says he was known to the security services. The only place that has reported that is this spoof fake news website.
Mm. So that's his source. It's like a person following a sports team and just reading speculation in the papers all the time about who the team's going to buy. A lot of the time it's just clickbait.
Well, I wonder if it's seen as patronising.
This is more insidious. Yeah. This is more insidious, because here you're actually brainwashing people to hate other people.
Yeah.
And I think that there's basically what people I would say, you need to realise that there's 5 evils. It's lust, anger, pride, attachment, and greed. And that can happen to any person of any colour, any race.
All right. Good, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. I just wonder whether there is a sense in which some people find it patronising to them that whether it's the BBC or us or the Telegraph or the Times or whoever or Sky or CNN, that it's all just a bit patronising that they are the news. So why do I say that? I say that because when Nigel Farage says some reports say he was, some people say he was connected to the security or known by the security services, the question is, well, who are the people? Who are those people? Who are those reporters saying this? And the answer is, in this case, spoof fake news websites are suggesting that he was connected to the security services. We don't know the answer to that question. But I just wonder whether then some people feel, well, why is it that people like me sitting in nice studios like this get to be the arbiters of what's news or not? Why can't I be the arbiter of what's news or not? For news to be a top-down thing from people who are in positions of apparent authority and power, because they have large platforms like this one, that's very patronising. Because I'm now being told what's news rather than being able to come to my own conclusion based on my own sources, beliefs and views. That's not a fact, is it? That's just what you reckon. Tony's in Bracknell. Tony.
Hi. I can't believe that this is actually even worth talking about. Nigel Farage is just pointing out probably a wider picture here. The simple fact is that the UK has lost control. Absolutely lost control. I live in Spain. This would never happen in Spain because we have control. The police manage. We respect the police. We don't spit and abuse the police. We respect the police. The UK has become this liberal, namby-pamby, woke society that you can do anything you want now. This is why you end up with situations where people get stabbed and killed. It doesn't happen in Spain.
That people don't get stabbed and killed in Spain?
Nothing like the level you're having in the UK right now. You've got a situation in the UK that are out of control. And the fact is that the media can't even accept this. The media band together and they blame governments, they blame this, they blame that. Right. At the end of the day, it's a societal problem.
But no one's suggesting that the issue of people going around and committing horrendous violence to one another isn't a societal problem. Of course it is.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's easy to blame politicians. It's easy to blame everybody else. The problem is, as a society, the UK has accepted this for so long.
Accepted what for so long?
You accept antisocial behaviour. You accept that you can abuse the police.
I don't.
Yeah, but the thing is, but we allow it to happen, do we not?
Well, it happens. We don't allow it to happen. In what way is it allowed?
Because as a society, we allow it to happen.
What does that mean, Tony? Tell me what that actually means.
Because it means that we allow kids to run rampant on streets and basically sort of like do what they want.
In what way do I allow that? I don't allow that.
Well, the thing is, though, you might not personally, but we allow as a society, we've let it happen.
Who's the we, if not the collection of individuals that could create the society, none of whom I think want kids to run rampage on the streets?
it's a collection of society where we don't want to impeach people's rights all the time. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. So what happens is, unlike in Spain, where if you go out and you assault somebody, the police will pick you up very quickly. You'll get arrested very quickly. If you hit a woman, you'll get arrested very quickly. And you know what? If you carry on, they'll pull their banners, they'll pull their crosses out, and they'll whack you.
So it's a policing issue.
It's a policing, but it's also a society issue, because society actually allows the police to do what they need to do.
What does that mean? What they need to do is arrest people.
Yeah, but they don't.
So society allows them to arrest people, but they don't arrest people.
Because we put so much attention now on hate crimes, on this type of crime. If you post something on social media, that's more important now than if you are going to abuse somebody or you get burgled. So that's a society you've created in the UK.
I have no one's.
No, I'm not saying you.
Tony, it's a policing issue, isn't it? It's not a quote society allowing issue. It's a policing issue. Fundamentally, it's a policing issue.
So we vote for politicians, we vote for Conservatives, we vote for Labour. But the point is, at the end of the day, we allow this to happen because as a society we allow this to happen.
What does that mean, sir? I'm really sorry, but what does that mean? We allow this. I don't know what allow means, and I don't know what you mean by this.
Because we've allowed the police. Because what we do is we vote in politicians like the left.
We've had quotes the right in for 14 years.
No, we haven't had the right. You know what we had is a so-called conservative government, that actually was more left-wing probably and more wokish than anybody else. All they pandered to was wokist ideology.
So what do you mean by allow, and what do you mean by this?
So what I mean is that we need politicians who actually got guts.
To do what?
Determination to turn around to the police and say, stop investigating somebody who put something on social media that somebody doesn't like as a hate crime.
Yep.
Get out there and stop patrolling streets, make people feel safe. And it's never going to reduce all crime, but what it will do is minimise a lot of crime that happens now.
So you agree with, for instance, the Labour plan to put more police officers on the streets?
Yep.
And you would agree with, even though they're very lefty in your world, I guess, Tony?
Well, I'd argue with the current Labour Party are left. I think they're probably more conservative than the Conservatives are. But the thing is, though, the problem is we've got to get back to old-fashioned values where we actually respect the police. We respect people in authority.
I agree.
We don't spit at them. We don't
throw bricks at them in Southport last night.
Do you know what? No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I'll tell you what, no. And the thing is, though, Nigel Farage, it's a populist opinion right now. But the thing is, what he's doing is he's just saying, actually, we need to get back to old-fashioned values. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. But you know what? I compare it to Spain. I'm not saying it ever happens, but it's very minimal because the police are respected.
I think, Tony, you have, in somewhere in the thicket of words that have been used there, I think you have the kernel of a point. The point being, I do think that there is a lack of respect for not just police, but some forms of authority anyway, including apparently the news. But I don't think that's what Nigel Farage is doing. I don't think that's what he's tapping into. I think he's just stirring the pot.